A very good evening to you all, and many thanks for joining us here on Rwanda Television News. We hope you had yourselves a very productive day. Now, top of our edition tonight, these are our headlines. On Tuesday afternoon at Urugwiro Village, President Paul Kagame received Ambassador Girma Biru Geda, who delivered a message on behalf of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali of Ethiopia. The government of Rwanda says that the problems of insecurity in Eastern DRC are mainly based on politics and that the solution must be based on politics. Once again, we're very glad to have your company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. My name is Martina Vera. As we begin this edition of the News in English, let us inform you that President Paul Kagame had a productive phone conversation with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on the worrying escalation of armed violence and ethnic rhetoric in the Eastern DRC. President Paul Kagame reiterated his view that the solution is not a military one, but a political one. The President and UN Secretary General discussed continued strong collaboration towards peace and stability in the DRC through ongoing regional efforts. Let us also inform you that President Paul Kagame met with Rabab Fatima, the UN Under Secretary General and High Representative for the least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states. The discussions covered ongoing preparations for the third United Nations Conference on the landlocked developing countries taking place in Kigali in June 2024, the first time the conference is being held on the African continent. On Tuesday afternoon at Urugwiro Village, President Paul Kagame also received Ambassador Girma Biru Geda, who delivered a message on behalf of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali of Ethiopia. Let us also inform you that the First Lady of Rwanda has officially inaugurated a maternity ward at King Faisal Hospital here in Kigali City. King Faisal Hospital is working on a Horizon 2050 expansion project, a massive expansion plan to increase the availability of highly specialized medical services, reduce medical referrals abroad, and to promote medical tourism in Rwanda. The expansion will more than quadruple the current bed capacity from 160 to over 600 beds. The expansion will also feature a KFH Medical College scheduled to launch in January 2024 with an initial intake of 138 health professionals who will train in highly needed specialized and sub-specialized programs in line with Rwanda's vision to increase access to advanced tertiary care for the country, the region, and the continent. Now, the government of Rwanda says that the problems of insecurity in Eastern DRC are mainly based on politics and that the solution must be based on politics. This was reiterated by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Vincent Biruta, in Ministerial Conference of OIF member states. Adam Squizera with more in this report.
It's been a month since the escalation of fightings in the eastern region of DRC. The coalition of the DRC military, FARDC, Wazalendo militias, and mercenaries didn't stop the M23 rebel group from exerting pressure and defeating them by getting back in control of various areas that were under the East African Community Regional Forces, as was stated in the compliance of the Luanda and Nairobi process. The president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, has firmly denied to hold talks with this M23 rebel group. The recent communique released by this group has accused the international community for turning a blind eye to the war crime committed by the DRC government, while there are thousands of people in need of humanitarian aid. Rwanda has repeatedly denounced the DRC's behavior of referring its own issues and false allegations to Rwanda. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Vincent Biruta, reiterated this at the 44th Ministerial Conference of the Francophonie in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Here he refuted what was said by the representative of the DRC government in this conference.
J'ai oublié de vous dire qu'il y a plus de 200 groupes armés à l'est de la République démocratique du Congo, dont des groupes armés génocidaires comme le FDLR.
I forgot to tell you that there are more than 200 armed groups in the eastern DRC, including genocidal group namely FDLR. plus the problems of governance, which are indicated by the discrimination against some of the DRC's local residents. Even in the eastern region of this country, there is a plan of sweeping away one tribe. He forgot to talk about the problem of refugees and forgot to tell you how Rwanda is hosting more than 90,000 refugees, whereas Uganda has even more. He forgot to tell you that the DRC military has collaborated with genocide perpetrators and mercenaries from Europe in destroying particular part of the Congolese population.
Européen pour mener la guerre contre une partie de la population congolaise.
Political experts note that the international community's silence towards the killings of some of the Congolese, especially those of Tutsi tribe, is seen as the hypocrisy of the powerful countries, which proves the close relationship of the UN alongside the DRC military, FARDC, and other rebel groups that should be disarmed, as happened in 2013, when the special brigade of this organization did to M23 rebel group only. After the disarmament of M23, it led all other parts consisting the Resolution 2098 to be all rejected. Yesterday, President Paul Kagame had a phone call discussion with the U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, where they discussed the deterioration of the security situation in the eastern DRC, as well as the need for de-escalation of hostilities and political resolutions to the conflict. On the other side, President Kagame reiterated Rwanda's firm support for the ongoing regional processes to bring peace and stability to DRC and the region, which came right after M23 captured various territories which are near Goma settlement. The message, which was delivered by the Minister of East African Community Affairs, Youth, Sports and Culture of Burundi and his delegation, which came from President Evariste Ndayishimiye to President Kagame, came the way after M23 accused Burundi, the current share country in the EAC, for violating the peace process that the member countries initiated, which analysts consider this as betrayal acts.
They made it clear that the chair country of EAC is approving and joining forces in fighting against M23 instead of providing what's needed since the outbreak of these fightings.
Mostly you find that those Burundian military found dead or captured. Then you find that most of them are wearing the FARDC combatant outfits. It has not been announced when it will happen, but in the recent meeting held in Rwanda, Angola, the member countries of the Southern Africa Development Community SADC have decided to send troops to the eastern DRC to replace those of the East African Community Region Force, ECROF. Political analysts affirm that this is also a strategy of President Tshisekedi and his government to disintegrate these two organizations. M23 capturing Goma, I don't think it's their ambition. Instead, seems to be another option. What I think is that their legitimacy would be more understandable if they keep capturing those major areas. According to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Vincent Biruta finds that the DRC's problems are mainly based on politics, whereas the solution on these issues should be found in this direction.
Avant même la résurgence de ce groupe armé, le M23, le gouvernement de la République démocratique du Congo avait...
Even before the M23 group escalates the situation, the DRC government has imposed a state of emergency in North Kivu and Ituri provinces in May 2021, which means that these problems existed even before the group said it would resume fightings. That is distraction, political issues, which the DRC government should have the courage to accept the political solutions as approved by regional organizations and the African Union as well. The DRC problem is a governance problem, a political problem, which then to keep blaming Rwanda on the DRC's issue can't ever provide a solutions to this problem. Political and diplomacy analysts say that since the plans of President Tshisekedi and his government to tarnish Rwanda's image have failed, whereas even actions taking place at the battlefield will also further expose him as his country prepares for the elections. Whatever happens, Rwanda's long-term solutions to DRC's problem is clear, which is to find solutions to the problems on their root cause. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adam Squizera, for that report. Now, Congolese refugees in the temporary camp of Nkamira in Rubavu district are requesting the United States of America to help them restore peace in the eastern DRC and also to disarm armed groups that are always tormenting the Congolese Tutsi population. The refugees say they want to return to their homes since the UN funding allocated to them has been reduced. Olive Nhete with more.
On Tuesday, His Excellency Eric Nittler, the U.S. ambassador to Rwanda, visited the temporary Nkamira camp, which shelters Congolese refugees. These refugees are sheltered in the camp due to the escalation of fighting in the eastern DRC, where there is increase of violations committed by armed groups, including the FDLR, with the support of the DRC Army FARDC, targeting the Kinyarwanda-speaking Tutsi population. The Mai Mai rebel group first tormented us just because we are Tutsi. They even looted all our belongings, and because of that, we decided to flee. They confiscated all of our belongings and properties, our livestock, and they also killed our beloved ones. That is why we fled. The refugees requested the United States of America to disarm and expel the terrorist groups causing insecurity in the eastern part of the DRC so that they can return to their homes. What we need and what we request from the government of US that visited us today is that they can help us regain peace so that we may return in our country, in Congo. Because here, we are currently living in bad conditions since the UN funding that we used to receive has reduced. The removal of the UN funding affected the lives of the refugees dearly, since some of the children have begun to suffer from malnutrition, according to David Rwanyonga, the head of Nkamira camp. We used to feed them 3 times a week, and they would eat rice and good vegetables, and they would also eat maize flour twice a week, and eat corns only once a week. But nowadays, they are eating corns 7 days, and this severely affects them. We started noticing malnutrition in some of these children, and if nothing is done as soon as possible, the life of refugees would take a bad turn. More than 5,000 Congolese refugees are temporarily sheltered in the Nkamira camp. Within a year, the camp has received more than 18,000 refugees before being transferred to other well-organized camps around the country. Before visiting the Nkamira camp, the United States ambassador visited the Gisenyi Genocide Memorial, known as Commune Rouge, where he was informed about atrocities committed in the region. He also visited the 2 borders connecting the cities of Rubavu and Goma, where he was explained the challenges in the cross-border trade between the 2 countries, since the government of Congo decided to close the border at 3 p.m. Olive Nhete, RTV News. $20 million were invested in the building of Norsken House Kigali, which has generated more than $45 million in only 2 years. This investment has benefited Rwandans and techpreneurs with innovations that respond to problems challenging the African continent and Rwanda in particular. Prince Manzi has more on this report.
Norsken House Kigali is the eco-friendly facility where young entrepreneurs in the technology sector, mostly with innovations curbing challenges hindering the African continent, gather to rework on their operations. In Norsken, P. Sindori Iraguha came up with her business idea supporting patients with non-communicable diseases using a phone app, Be Responded, and some are transferred to 33 health centers working with her Lifestyle Health company.
It uses transdermal technology, so it's AI-based. And by reflecting light on your face, it's able to detect blood flow under your skin. So literally you take a 30-second selfie and it's able to tell your blood pressure, your heart rate, facial age, stress levels, etc. But also by inputting other vitals and demographics, it's able to tell your BMI and other necessary health information. So after you've taken the info, you get the diagnosis right away. And if you need medical intervention, we're able to refer you to the health facilities that we work with that are spread across Kigali. So you're referred to the nearest health facility.
2021, Norsken House Kigali earned $10 million, and in 2022, it earned $35 million. Using technology, Davis Nezirjayo came up with his Pesa Choice Group, and thanks to Norsken, his fintech business expanded.
So we are operational right now in Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, and Ghana. We want to close there maybe with 2 more countries, but the whole plan is to be able to scale across the continent, at least have somewhere within 35 to 50 countries over the next 24 to 36 months, and that will be able to manage thousands and millions of users on the platform. Today we're in Rwanda, and where we are so far, we have 84 companies running on our platform. Most of them using all the features. Some of them you can pick and choose which features work well for you as an organization. The whole reason for us building our tool is, can we give the organizations something that is affordable?
As soon as he heard that Nosken House Kigali was launched in Rwanda to help entrepreneurs in technology, Alex Kalanda from Uganda came to the office and now has a support center for climate change related businesses. Currently, he works with more than 1,000 projects in 31 countries. He aims to reach $7.4 billion in investor financing by 2027, attributing all this to Nosken.
All of these have been actually done here at Nosken. And the surprising thing is that many of our initial customers and clients, we actually got them from Nosken. Oftentimes they come here as visitors, right? Some come here for events. And sometimes I meet them in the lobby, sometimes I walk in and say, hey, there's someone working on this, right? And then I get to meet them and we interact. And I feel like Nosken has played a very big part. I wrote the very first line of code last year, around April 2022. Here at Nosken, it was about 10 p.m. And the bit about Nosken has also helped us to work 24 hours. So it's not like they're going to close the place at 5 or 8. So as entrepreneurs working with people in different time zones, Nosken has been one of the best places actually for us to do that.
On 8th and 9th November, in Nosken House Kigali, there's an inaugural of the Nosken Africa Week, and the facility will be officially launched. The managing director of the Nosken House Kigali, Pascal Murasira, emphasizes that the establishment of the Nosken House Kigali came as a response to young techpreneurs in Rwanda and Africa.
When you're an entrepreneur, you mainly need 3 things. So you need the infrastructure, like a place to work. You really need to be able to focus on the product you are developing. You don't have to worry about being in a building without internet or without access to public transportation. So the location, the infrastructure that we put here, this was the main thing we provided to the entrepreneurs in this ecosystem. The beauty of that is also once you have that infrastructure, it becomes much easier to attract all the other stakeholders, from policymakers to investors to other development partners, but also clients of these entrepreneurs. So this is also this kind of networking opportunities that we provide to entrepreneurs, also something that was crucial and we are very proud of. Another service we are proud of is the fact that we are bringing in more capital to entrepreneurs here.
Tech startups in Africa generated for their owners $6.5 billion by 2022, an 8% increase over 2021, and women-owned startups accounted for 22% of all tech startup revenue, an increase of 2% compared to 2021. Whilst in Rwanda, in the beginning of 2022, the managing director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, appreciated the constructive of the Nosken House Kigali that is eco-friendly. This is while being welcomed by the Rwandan Environment Minister, Dr. Jean-Darc Mujawamariya.
The choice of this place is not by coincidence, because this place is green. You can even hear those songs of birds. Yes, so...
Minister, I'm moving my office here.
Thank you very much.
At the formerly known as École Belge, $20 million were invested in 2021, and at the beginning, the facility had 250 entrepreneurs with projects that answer different problems. In September 2022, upon completion, that number increased by 750 more. Currently, Nosken House Kigali can accommodate up to 1,200 people. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
On behalf of the news production team and I would like to thank you once again for sticking with us on RTV News. My name is Martina Abera. Stay safe and have a great night.